Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the RESEMBID project design workshops. Thank you for joining us today. And let me start by saying a few words about the first module that focuses on budgeting. And after which we will have another module for communication and visibility with our colleagues Nisa and Indy also participating on this module, and about meal with Susan and Marsha. Regarding the first module that is about budgeting and budgeting RESEMBID projects, we aim to build common understanding of the budgeting process, or with other words, how to translate activities into a budget that will ensure smooth and successful project implementation. In today's workshop, we will focus on three main or major issues. The first one, of course, will be introduction to the budgeting process. Then we will move to the RESEMBID budget template and structure. And finally, we will have opportunity to practice budgeting with few exercises. And final, we will have a session of question and answers. Of course, you are encouraged to ask questions after each session. Just raise your hand and we will take a note of it and answer immediately or after the part of the session ends. When talking about raising hands, please also mute the mic if you are not the presenter. Also, when you are asking a question or sharing your opinion, feedback, please introduce yourself. It is enough brief introduction, your name, where are you come from, your maybe your project, the title or the objective. So it will also contribute to introduction to each other, but also in our replies to be more tailored. Let's start with the first module. I hope we will keep your attention all the time. It is a busy day, as I said, with three modules. Please note that we are not using PowerPoint presentation because everything that will be shared today is already in the documents published as part of the call for submission of proposals on our website. Sometimes it is in the guidelines, sometimes it is in the grant contract that is published in the documents for information part. Sometimes it is in the footnotes of the documents, some of the information. So therefore, we do not have a PowerPoint presentation, and we will refer to the relevant part of these documents when describing the activity or the process. I would like to introduce first our grant management team. My name is Daniela Stoyanova. I'm the manager of grants, finance, and administration. And together with me are Vinko Jukic, the senior financial and procurement specialist, who will also participate in delivering this workshop, and we have Margot Mesnard, our grant officer, and Julia Morelli, our associate program manager. Thank you to all in my team, and also to Nisa, Indy, Susan, and Marsha for organizing this workshop. First, we will start with simple answering what is the project budget. A very simple explanation or description is that it is total projected cost that you need to complete a project over a defined period of time. I think some mic is not muted. Okay, thank you. It is very slow. Please, can you check, are your mics muted? Because, yeah, it is very difficult to follow. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. So I think we are fine now. Yes, great. Thank you very much again. Okay, let me repeat what we mean with project budget is the total accepted projected cost needed to complete your project over a defined period of time. It very important. It must include costs only for the activities that you will present in the project document and its annexes. This meaning also that all these documents should be aligned. If there is a cost in the project budget, there must be justification in the project document. If there is something in the communication and visibility plan as an activity, it must be budgeted in the budget. So all these documents should be aligned. What we mean with costs, costs are translation in financial terms of all identified resources that you need or require for the successful implementation of the project. It is also a tool that mostly program managers, but also financial officer, financial managers, and overall leadership of your organizations, ministries, and other institutions are using to estimate the total cost of the project, or with other words, how your project will likely to cost. On the other side, when implementation starts, it will let the project manager check whether or not the project is sticking to the budget, as well is the implementation going well. If there is underspending, maybe you need to check what is happening with the project implementation. And overspending is not even a good thing to happen, both underspending or overspending. So good planning is really important in advance of the start of the project implementation. In general, but also in our program, RESEMBID program, the project budget is just one of the components of the application, together with the project document, logical framework, and communication and visibility plan. All these documents, if your concept note is approved and later your project document is approved, will become integral part of the grant contract. Therefore, again, I will mention it is very important everything to be clear and aligned before contract is signed. All costs also must be presented in euro, not dollars, not pounds, not any other currency. The budget is in euros. Why it is important? I already mentioned few reasons, but very simple reason is without budget, project cannot be implemented without necessary amount of money that requires for smooth implementation. In the case of project budget, a miscalculation, and sometimes we can see that arithmetic even mistakes in the budget, poor judgment, or lack of proper oversight might result in the collapse of the whole project. Also, during the project implementation, it's not possible to make major changes of the initial budget, especially of the grant size, without any amendment of the contract itself. Meaning it will be labor and time consuming, and will spend time and your energy that actually should be focused on successful implementation of the project and achieving the project results. A few highlights or a few important aspects, especially regarding the eligibility of costs. There is a full list in the program guidelines, section 2.3, that I said is already published on our website, what is and what is not eligible expenditure. And this should be your starting point when preparing the budget. First, to check what is eligible, what is not eligible, what is included in the eligible cost as a description. If you have specific question, please send an email to the grants email address. I believe you are all familiar with it, as also there you are submitting your proposals. It is grants@resembid.org. However, please know that in advance we cannot formally assess the eligibility of the costs. The applicants who submitted grant request under the call for submission of proposal should note that as per procedural guidelines, the expertise funds contribution may not vary more than 20% from the initial estimation presented in the concept note. In case there is need of such increase higher than 20% between approved concept note and final submission of a project document, please provide justification, and it will be reviewed and accepted in duly justified cases. Also, such justification is needed if the project is less than minimum and more than maximum grant size as per programmatic guidelines. Co-financing, another important item is co-financing is not mandatory. But in case if you have co-financing, please know that in-kind contribution is not eligible. Also, please note that co-financing must be presented as or reflected in the budget itself. So this was more or less general introduction to the budgeting process, and as well as how it fits in the RESEMBID funding windows, both the call for proposals and COVID-19 facility. Now we will focus on the project structure, and for this reason, I will share the screen with the budget template, and also we'll drop it in the chat zone for you also, if for easier reference for you to open. Also, maybe it will be easier for you to follow, but also later we will have some kind of exercises, so it will be good for you to have it. Okay. Uh, uh, this is our template. It is the same for COVID facility and for the call for proposals. It includes a detailed estimate of all costs that are likely to be incurred after project starts and before the project is completed. Eligible costs are eligible only in this period of during that are occurred and realized in the project implementation period. It is an Excel document that includes 3 tabs. It is first the budget estimation, detailed estimation. Then we have the justification of the costs. And finally, we have expected sources of funding. We will focus first on the first tab, that is the budget. Here, as a general note, is that each position requires justification both from programmatic and from financial aspect. Meaning before starting the budget, this must be understood. As I said, it must be well explained in the project document, here in the budget, as well as under annexes if needed. The description of the budget items must be sufficiently detailed, and all items should be broken down into their main components. The number of units, what is the unit, number of units, also a unit value, and the total cost must be specified. The budget has to include costs related to the project as a whole, regardless is the part financed by RESEMBID. This means if you have co-financing, it must be reflected also in this budget. And before also going into details, we were getting some questions from applicants regarding the template. We had a case when it was adjusted, and then we had grantees that didn't want to add even a row because they thought like that they will change the template. So what is considered as a change of the budget template? That is, if you change the budget headings, budget categories, budget names of the budget lines that are already included in this template. Also, if you are adding a row will be considered as a change. However, adding the rows to more detailed way to present the costs is not considered as a change. It is encouraged. We also encourage you to use formulas when calculating the cost. It is also for the sake of the project to check the accuracy of the calculation, but also for us to do the same. Then let's see how we should budget in our RESEMBID proposals. We have first category, human resources. Here, as you can see, mostly it is the salaries and per diems, and meaning these are the cost only for the project staff or staff assigned to the project of the applicant or partners, if any. Consultants, experts, any other human resources that you need for implementation of the project are not budgeted here. They are budgeted under the budget category and item that is appropriate for the activity for which experts are engaged. Meaning mostly it would be in budget category 5. About salaries. Gross salaries are eligible. How we are budgeting? Usually, as in most cases, these are employed staff, is per month. Let's see if you want to engage a project officer that is engaged full time for 1 year. It should be what you should do is to write the position, to present, to describe with how much time, this is full time, yes, of engagement, and if the project implementation period is okay, I will slow down. I am getting notes. Sorry. It should be 12. Then the unit value as the salary is. Let me just write any amount. It would be 3,000, and then we should. What is important here, especially for the staff not working full-time on the project? The percentage should be indicated as I did alongside the description of the item and reflected in the number of the units, not in the unit value. Meaning, if you have another project officer or assistant with half time of engagement, that would be 50%. And if it is and again, it would be per month, but what we will do now, it is 50% of time. We will not divide 3,000 or multiply with 50%. What we will adjust is the number of units, meaning 12 months with half time, it would be 6 months if the salary is the same, 3,000. And multiplying number of units with the unit value. And this should go for each of the positions. If you have 2 project officer, you can write that. 2 project officer full-time, but then it would be 24 months here. Please add rows as you need. For the project staff and administrative support staff, technical would be project manager, project officers, project assistants. Administrative support staff would be finance administration, accountant, or any other position that you consider in your organization, institution as administrative support staff. Again, here we are budgeting only the staff of the lead applicant or the coordinator of the project and its partners. Next budget line that we have is per diems for missions and travels. Please know that the per diem may not exceed the rates published by the European Commission at the time of the mission. Per diem rates are published as part of the call for proposals on the RESEMBID website, but also in the guidance you have a link to the European Union website where the per diems are published. For more information, also you can consult the footnote below this table, footnote 6. And here, again, we have per diems for the different staff. If you have staff assigned to the project that is not a resident of the country where project is implemented or applicant is registered, we have international staff or abroad and local, understandable if the staff is residing in the country of the origin. In the country of the region. Here, a number of units is per diem or days. If you have 20 days of doing missions or participating in the conferences and so on, you would have a number of units, let's say 20. If we should check the list of per diems, let's say you are traveling to St. Martin. I think it was 263 euros per day. This is full per diem. And again, multiplication. We need for seminar conference participants, how you should budget. There are a few options. Think about what is more appropriate for your project. Would you like to pay per diems to the conference participants individually to each of the participants, and then they themselves to organize their accommodation, meals, transportation, or you would like to organize it by yourself, and then it should be budgeted in the direct cost activities where we have 5-7 cost of conferences seminars. So think about it and decide what is more appropriate for you. You should consider a few things here. The labor that is needed to financially manage, transfer, report 50 payment, for example, to 50 participants of the per diem, taxation and so on, or to organize by your organization to organize accommodation and all logistics directly, and then providing opportunity also to the participants to be accommodated in same place, to meet each other between parts of the conference, of the seminar, and so on. It's up to you. You can budget it here if you directly transfer the per diem to the participants and they self are organizing their stay at the place of the conference, or you are organizing that. Please calculate the subtotals in the and please make sure that all costs are included in the subtotal. Sometimes it can really make a difference, especially for this budget category. Then we move to the travel costs. International travel, usually it is per flight, but it can be per trip. Then you would estimate how many trips for how many people are needed. For example, if you have 2 experts from another country coming to the project implementation location twice per year, and the project is 1 year, it would be 2 experts multiplied with 2 trips. The average price of the flight ticket, let's take, if they're coming from Europe, it can be like 1,000 or more euros. Again, multiplication. And we have the estimated costs. Local transportation, you can budget it per month. You can budget it per trip, per kilometer. It's up to how you are organizing and managing the transportation in your institution. What is the way you are doing that? If it is in the kilometer, you will must prove with the travel authorization form, kilometers that were passed for the trip, and so on, when reporting time will come. If it is per month, again, you will need to prove that these costs were realized in this month for the purpose of this project. For each of the trips, actually, you would need travel authorization form and necessary supporting documents when reporting time will come. For this, my advice is also to check the template of the financial report that is published on our website. There is a tab there with a list of supporting documents required for each of the costs that can also help you to think about how to plan the budget. And then let's say that you would use per kilometer monthly. Let's say that you would have 400 kilometers. I'm not sure what is the price of the fuel in the and not just the fuel per kilometer. Should if you can prove it, can include also other related costs to the transportation. But let's use a formula that is usually used, at least by European Union, and multiplied. This is just example as a cost. You would know better what is the cost per kilometer in your country. In some countries, even there is published official list of costs per kilometer. And then the subtotal. The next one, the third one, is equipment and supplies. Here is even more important what I mentioned, that it must be well explained in the product. If in case you want to purchase a vehicle, the need must be well explained in the project document, and the required amount should be justified in the budget. This goes for all costs, but here it is even more important. We noticed in the receipt application that sometimes vehicles are just mentioned in the budget, but there is no mentioning of, or even bought. We are in the Caribbean, but we cannot find any justification, elaboration of the need for that vehicle, for that type of vehicle, for that many vehicles in the project document, and sometimes even not in a justification. In that case, we cannot review the eligibility, the relevance of the cost, justification, and so on, and we will be not able to accept it. So please note, all costs must be connected to the project, elaborated in the project document here, and other annexes if necessary. Here also we have examples where applicants and now we already our grantees budgeted or using their own equipment for the purposes of the project. Please note here that you cannot rent your equipment to yourself and charge a RESEMBID for that. What you can charge is actual cost of the utilization related to the project. If you are not sure how to do it, we are happy to provide an advice, especially if you have more active project under implementation. It is similar also for the office costs, but let's see here. Purchase of rental vehicles. Is there a question?
Yeah.
Can you mute the? Is there a question? Thank you. Here, let's say we are buying a car for if you need the car for specific activity, you can write it here. For activity 2.3, for example, per vehicle. How many? The price. Again, multiplication. If you would like to purchase Or rent, let's take a rent a bot. We have this kind of costs in few projects. It would be trip, for example, how many trips are required for the project implementation, what is the price per trip multiplication. Furniture, computer equipment, usually what we see that is requested here, it is the computers, printers. Then we have another equipment like drones. And so just please describe the costs. Drone for monitoring as it is described in your project. You can always, and for you to be easier and for us, you can always add here the number of the activity from the project document per piece or per equipment. One, I'm not sure how much it costs, but let's say 1,500, and let's same for everything else. Subtotal, checking. Did I include it all? Great. We have local office. Here, similar as for the equipment. We expect to see office cost. Of course, it is required for the good implementation, smooth implementation of the project, including rent. But please be careful. The cost, estimated cost here should be related to the project implementation itself. Sometimes this can be full amount, but mostly when action projects are implemented or funded, it is mostly portion of the rent, portion of the utilities, portion of the office supplies, depending on do you have additional projects to the RESEMBID funded project. For more information about this, you should consult the footnote 9 that is below this table. Again, as for the equipment, if you are not sure, if you need advice, please contact us and we can share with you some experience how you can do that. For example, if you have 2 projects under active implementation, how you can assign or allocate portion of the total cost to our project, and then how in the reporting how you can prove that and justify. Or office rent per month, if it is 12 month, it would be again 12 here. But for example, if it is one of 2 projects that your organization is implementing, maybe it can be budgeting. If the rent is let's say 2,000. So again, as for the salaries, you are not adjusting the unit value, but the number of units. It is easier later, you will see, for reporting, because your invoice usually would be on the total amount. Question? Okay. For the equipment, can you give an example of budgeting for utilization as you mentioned? You mean if you have your own your equipment? For example, we had a case where the organization, institution had their own bot, and they are charging the use of the bot to the external parties, third parties. But for themselves, they cannot charge it as such. You cannot invoice yourself for that. What we agreed to do is that they will report the actual costs of using their own bot. Meaning, in their organization, they have employed a captain for the bot, so they will charge portion of his salary that was allocated or spent for the implementation of the RESEMBID funded project. Then fuel. Yes, I think they budgeted these two costs for using the bot. But if there is something else, yes, you will budget the portion. of course, you would need to know how to calculate. You will need to monitor these costs. For example, if there in a month you have 30 trips by this what and 15 are for our project, then 50% of this cost maybe you would allocate to our project if you use that kind of methodology. For the fuel per kilometer, or if you have any other methodology, how you are allocating the cost to your projects or activities. There are different examples depending on the organization, institution, and how well developed accounting or financial management system has developed. Again, in the finalizing of the budget before final submission, please consult us if you are not clear or if you would like advice. We will not tell you how to do it, but we can share the different experiences. Let's move now to the should we budgeted something here? Yeah, let's maybe supplies, but let's not spend any more time. I think this is. It would be again if it is one of two projects, it would be 12 months multiplied with 50. Let's say that you need 300 euros for paper, toner, or anything else that you would need. Multiply and subtotal. Services you can see, but also please check eligible costs in the guidelines. It can be electricity, not in the Caribbean, maybe not heating, but cooling, air conditioning, maintenance, and so on. And we are coming now to the one of the major categories where most of the costs usually are budgeted for, especially for action-related project. Here we have publications, studies, and everything else that is listed. But also, please note, sometimes we have very specific projects with very specific activities that you cannot find a good title in the budget items. So just please add a row. It would be just 5, 9, and add the title of the activity and budgeted. Estimate your costs. Publications, you can budget here the design of the publication, printing of the publication, publishing, depending on what is the activity and how you would like to do the publication. If there is author, editor of the publication, you can budget also the fee or the fee for the designer. Let's see, graphic design. If you have, let's see, per publication, you can write just publication, not necessary to repeat per. And for example, you have two publications in your project. It is 2. And let's estimate that the cost would be 2,000 per application. This is one way how you can budget it, depending what is your agreement with the graphic designer. You can agree with the graphic design to be paid per day. Then it should be day, what number of days, the daily fee, multiplication. It depends. Will your procurement and the contract after would be per deliverable or per day. You would need the contract with the graphic designer, of course, invoice and deliverables to present during when the reporting will come. Here also printing, yes, if you are printing. Publication or maybe posters, yes, let's take posters, copy or piece. Let's say that you will print 1,000. I'm not sure what are the costs in each of the OCT for printing. Let's say that it is okay. The number of copies is not so high. Maybe it will be a little bit more expensive. for a poster, when I'm saying I'm not sure about the cost, what does it mean? If I'm doing the budget for a very specific project, what I will do if I don't know from the experience, if this is first time that we need to print the posters, I would do a small market research. Would ask few printing companies, or will search on internet, and then what I will find as information, I will provide in the justification. For that. Why? I'm estimating €2. And you are not, please know that you are not doing this for us. It is good also for you to plan these costs as closely to the real costs. As I said, in the implementation period, it is more difficult, time consuming, labor intensive to adjust the budget, especially if you underestimated the costs of the project. Please check the prices. Studies research, most of our projects, especially marine biodiversity, have research. Here you should budget the fees for the experts, for the researchers. If you need any, we have for the laboratory samples, some equipment. The equipment can go up under budget category 3. Also here, if it is related directly to the research itself. All costs that are related to your research or study should be estimated here. Let's see researchers. We have, let's say, 2. Usually consultants, researchers are engaged on daily fee per day. And please use per day, not per diem, because sometimes it is confusing. Per diem are costs that are estimated for missions, for covering the accommodation, meals, and transport, local transportation. So therefore, please, it's not a mistake, but please be careful, and you need to be presented as a day. Per day, let's say €600. Oh, sorry, mistake. Let's say 15 days each. That would be. And now I'm using this kind of formulas. I can write 30 immediately, but and for the project manager afterwards and the project staff, but also for us, it will be easier to see how we estimated the costs. Let's say that it is €600, some average price per day, daily fee 18,000. Expenditure financial external financial verification of the cost audit should be budgeted for each of our project. It depends how many audits from the length of the project. Please consult the general conditions for your project. Usually, in our case, you would have one audit. One audit, it depends. Really, we saw different prices. It depends. Do you have some framework agreement with the audit? Do you use the audit that is for the organization itself, and then you are just allocating a portion to our project? So I will just write 5,000. But we saw prices from 2,000 to 12,000. So it really depends on your context. And please do small market research if you never did until now the audit. Evaluation cost, if you plan some midterm evaluation, you should budget it here, or you can budget it also under 6.1, where are the meal costs. As eligible costs are only the one accrued and realized during the implementation period, evaluation after the project ends is not eligible. So please note that. Translation interpreters, if you have, you should budget it per page for translation, and for interpreters per daily fee. Please estimate well the number of days or pages of the publications, and in how many languages you should have interpretation, translation. It is easy to forget that you to estimate this, and sometimes this is not big cost, but it will affect the budget overall. Do we have a question? Or I can see the chat. And then we have a cost of conferences here. If you never did an audit, please consult, do small market research, meaning what are the companies that are doing audit, performing audit in your country. If not, is anybody financial audit? Yes, Vinko reminded me to mention financial audit, verification of the costs. To check what is available on the market and what will be the price. Price sometimes depends from the value of the project, duration of the project. Is one audit, two audits necessary? So please check if there is. I believe there is, but if there is no audit company in your country, yeah, you can always contact some of the international one that can agree to do verification. And please don't wait until reporting period ends to do this. Do in advance. Contact and ensure that there will be auditing company that can do quality financial audit of your cost. Also consider the audit. This is just from my experience, more than 30 years of experience managing, implementing not just the European Union projects. Please consider audit also as a learning process, not just as a control. Of course, at the end, it will be that. But also you can learn a lot from this process, especially for your accounting, financial and financial management of the project, but also and organization in general. Then we have cost of conferences, seminars, trainings. Again, please. Yes, audit is mandatory for our project. And it is an eligible cost. This is European Union project, but also and according to expertise France procedures. More information can be found in general conditions about this. In most of the cases, only one audit will be needed, having in mind the project implementation period of already submitted projects to RESEMBID for funding. For the conferences, you can be detailed. Again, I will say it is not even for us or for just arithmetics. It is really important to estimate or foresee all related costs to the conference. It is easy to forget that maybe you will need to rent a projector, for example, or that you will need to buy notebooks. It is so small cost, you would say, and you would forget. But that and then you can forget this, you can forget that, and it can be some amount that can affect the project implementation. So budget here everything that is relevant for successful implementation of a conference. Accommodation, if even what you can do, and for the sake of the project, and also maybe to cross-check with the project document, even mention the conference. Let's say 571 would be training on sustainable energy. It will be in the capital of the OCT, so you would have participants from all over the country. Then you will need to budget travel costs under budget category 2, travel. And here, accommodation per participant or per night. Let's say that it will be 2 days training. So meaning 1 overnight or maybe 2, depending from the distance of the participants, of the resident place of the participants. And let's say that you would have 40 participants. 40 participants multiplied with let's say 2 overnights to not be tired during the training. Let's have 2 overnights, and then the price, let's say that it would be 250. Hotels, probably you will need to rent the meeting room. Maybe the hotel will provide it free of charge because accommodation is organized there. But maybe you will need, please check that in advance. This usually is per day. We said that it will be 2-day. Multiplication again. Hotels, do we need to eat? Yes. So let's say meals. And you list all necessary costs here. Maybe rent of for interpretation, for example, maybe you will need to rent that kind of equipment. Let's say of projector. And you go in the same way as for the other costs. And then you have maybe another training or conference. It is activity number 3.2 from your project. And again, you're listing here all costs you require for organizing successful conference. Here again, I will mention, if you're saying here that you will have 40 participants, please mention that in the project document. Mention in your project document that the training will be 2 days with 40 participants. Who are these participants? These beneficiaries, these stakeholders, and so on. And then it is very clear in the budget what is what. And the opposite, if I see just the budget, I will know that what are you planning in your project to implement and even to achieve. Please align all these documents. And then we are coming to the communication and visibility cost or actions. What you can do here, you can do it in a detailed way, meaning for example, press conference leaflets, everything that is related to the communication and visibility of your project. But also what you can do is to use the lump sum according to your detailed communication and visibility plan that is integral part of the project document itself, but also from the grant contract. For example, let's say that it would be 15,000. This amount should be visible, and how you came to it in the annex communication and visibility plan. In this communication and visibility plan, you have a budget and a detailed background of the activities and costs. You can do it in this way, or as I said, detailed as it is in the plan. And then if you have any other specific activity that you cannot find relevant title, please add rows as many as you need. Subtotal, and be careful here to include all amounts. We got the subtotal. For monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning, same as for the visibility actions. If it is very clear from the logical framework or the project document, what activities and what costs are needed, you can do just the lump sum and in justification to elaborate. But in most of the cases, probably you will need to budget in detailed way, meaning meal officer, evaluation, maybe some baseline survey costs, or any other survey that is related not to the project itself, to the content, but for the meal purposes. Let's, for the sake of this exercise, use the lump sum. Let's say, yeah, we have again unmuted, but now we are fine. I will just, as an example, at amount of 5,000 subtotal. We are good. Now we should do subtotals of the direct eligible cost of the project. Direct cost, meaning cost that you can easily connect to the some of the project activity, including human resources. Yes, because they are assigned for the project implementation. And again, please use the formula. Please be careful to include all totals. And we are coming to the indirect cost, sometimes known as administrative cost, overhead costs. These are the costs that you cannot maybe allocate directly to the activity, but must be connected to the project. What usually is here, for example, if you are not able to prove the portion of the office rent for this project, but of course you're using your office for the project implementation, you can finance it from this lump sum of indirect cost. Also, for example, or not for example, for sure you have a project director or organization director and so on, or management of the institution, organization that is implementing the project. But you cannot exactly allocate portion of his or her time to this project. You will budget it here. So everything that you cannot directly link and prove the allocation to the activity of the project itself, but it is related to the project, can be budgeted here or included in this 7%. Accountant, for example, also usually what I saw it is that not always you can maybe allocate these costs exactly the portion for this project, except if you don't engage just for this project someone. It can be budgeted from here. So think about what type of cost, and the maximum is 7% of the total direct cost. Let's say that you will budget it the maximum, and we have this amount. Again, always we must calculate the subtotals, and we have contingency reserve. Please note that this cannot be used without prior confirmation or approval from contracting authority, meaning expertise France RESEMBID. The maximum is 5%. If you decide to go with 5%, just calculate it. We have subtotals. We did a small survey about taxes in the 12 OCTs, and as we understood, there is no VAT or other taxes, but if there are, it should be budgeted here. Contributions in kind, as I said, are not eligible. Regarding taxes, VAT is not eligible cost unless you prove that you cannot claim it. We already had just one case, but so in case you cannot return and you must pay it, please provide supporting document justification that is situation in order for us to assess the eligibility and accept it as eligible costs. But usually up to now, this is 0 in our cases, and then we have the total amount of the project. And then the next part of the columns of the budget is just for the first year. If this is 12 months project, as I take as an example, as I'm taking as an example, then it will be just easy. You will just copy because it is 1 year project. But for example, if this was 18 months project, you will need to budget everything just for the first 12 months. This is forecast also useful for you to estimate the cost for the first year, your cash flow. Please consult also the general conditions for payment schedule, so it can help you in planning or estimating your costs. This was even maybe 1 hour, but very brief. Usually this is a training of 3 days. So very brief presentation of our template and the structure. And if there is a question, I can take now, and Vinko then can present briefly the justification and expected sources of funding, and then we are doing the exercises. I have actually, we have a question. We have a section. If it is a project manager, it should be budgeted under human resources. Again, if it is your staff that will conduct, perform meal activities, budgeted under human resources. And you will mention this in the project document. Also in the justification of the budget, you can also mention that meal will be implemented by your own staff. But if you engage someone external, or you do surveys and other activities related to the meal, budget it under 6.1. But if it is just a project manager with a portion of time doing meal, it should be budgeted under human resources. Yes, we are recording the session.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Vinko speaking. Let us switch to the second page. In case you have seen it, I'm sure you have seen it. The budget document. It contains three pages, separate ones. Daniela covered in the last 45 to 50 minutes. The first one called budget, as you can see at the lower corner, lower part of the screen. Currently, the other two are justification page and detailed source of funding. Our experience so far is that this justification page does not receive enough attention, and it is essentially important for us and for you for many reasons. So just let me give you a brief overview of it. So it's first, there are two types of justification that we are considering here. First one is justification in terms of the function of the particular line item of the budget. That would be how and why it appears in the product as a bigger picture. And the second part of it would be financial justification in the sense that we want to know the how you came up with the figure. So these two these two things overlap very much throughout the process, and we are using this, and this is one of my favorite words, justification, for all of you who know me, who've already worked with me particularly. Justification, this would be a starting point for you for any further actions when you're into implementation phase. So you know exactly how you came up with the amount, and you know what to do with the amount. At the same time, when it for us, it's a beginning of the financial control process. Control is a hard word maybe for some of you. However, financial overview of the expenditures, because what you have written here in justification would be our baseline, so we can see if your estimates at the very beginning of the process were right, and in case if we have to modify it up and down or down. So we will always return to the justification. So in order to do this, we have to have something concrete. Now, justification might be slightly, we expect justification for every single line item you present. And just let me emphasize that we expect, if there is a expenditure appearing in the budget section, we expect the same expenditure to show up in the justification section. And then justification section would just explain how you came up with that figure. Now, what would justification look like will depend on what you've actually projected in the budget part. So if you say, for example, that you have you want to hire somebody to design your items, if you say that you have you anticipate 25 working days with 200 500 euros per day, we expect you to tell us why you how you came up with the figure of 500 per day, and then the explanation would be, the justification would be, it is a standard rate here, we have worked with people before, so we want to know how you came up with that figure. In case you say it's a lump sum, where you say 5,000 for all the design, then your justification should follow that line of description, saying, in the past, we have done this, we have concluded that this is the proper way how to address the issue of design. And in the past, we have already similar cases where with this approximate amount. Now, this will lead us, combined with the just as a side note, the figures you show here and the justification, the reasoning, will be our starting and your starting point when the time for secondary procurement comes. So when you start doing the procurement process, the budget and justification should be your starting points in order to decide on the procedure that you're going to use and the thresholds that have to be observed. So all this is a part as a global exercise, has consequences throughout the entire life cycle of the grant. So please pay close attention when you are doing these things, and do not mind when we are asking additional questions or additional clearance on some of the positions that you have put into the budget. Now, very important thing is, whatever amount, I mean, first one is very much obvious. Whatever the amount is in the budget should correspond with justification calculations in the justification page. However, as addition to this, please have in mind that whatever you present here should reflect things stated in the project document, because we consider this budget as only one of the bigger picture of the family, I should say, of documents, which includes project document, communication and visibility plan, and logical framework. So Daniela usually says that budget, sorry Daniela for using your word, budget should tell us a story, in a sense that even if we do not have the project document, we should know how you came up with the figures. However, we will always look at the project document to see that things match up. If we see a position here in the budget with fabulous description why you need something, however, if it does not appear in the project document, it is not a line item that is acceptable for us. So whatever comes as a final product from your site should have all these four separate documents into one leveling between them, meaning whatever information shows up in one of them should evenly show up in all of them under the same terms and conditions. And again, of course, amounts should absolutely correspond. Just in a case that the amounts are most visible in the product, where you say the final amount of the overall amount of the budget, and also amounts shows up in the communication and visibility plan, where it's very clearly stated what is the amount set aside for communication visibility. Those two figures should appear exactly the same in the budget. And if there is a need for justification, and it will be provided here. I think there was a question. Well, that is, I have actually asked for a quote. However, that is just a supporting document. Basically, you should go and make a slight effort explaining what we might see in what we will see in the quote, the previous quotation. But yes, previous quotation, we've learned that on these 12 in these 12 OCTs, previous experience is very much basis for building up the budget itself. So that is a very good starting point. Thank you for mentioning this, John.
Pinko, if I may add, it is very important also for the project document. All information must be included in the project document and annexes. Additional annexes you may submit, but what we read, what we review, what we should understand is in these 4 documents: project documents, logical framework, budget and communication and visibility plan. You can always submit additional documents, but the information summary, for example, for justification, must be in these 4 documents. Justification in this case should go in the budget. Sorry for interruption, but it is important to mention. Sometimes we are even also getting project documents. For example, no implementation approach described. It is in the annex. That is not required. So it is difficult to review and assess the relevance and feasibility of the project. Thank you.
Yeah. Basically, this is the story. So it's nice from you to show us how you came up with it. However, it has to be written in the documents. And if we see that there's something missing, make sure that we will get back asking for additional information. So at the end of the process, you as applicants, future grantees, and we as people from the other side. We are not on the other side of the process. We are just like assisting you here. We are all at the same page, and we all have the same starting point. So yes. So just a quick one on the third tab from this three tab document called budget. It is about expected sources of funding. Again, I cannot repeat this enough times. It always, the figures shown here must be aligned all over the submitted documents. If the figure shows here 100,000, it means that we will see the same 100,000 figure in the first page of the budget, and we will see the same 100,000 figure in the product at the beginning, one of the first pages of the project document. So we are expecting the same figures all over the place. Now, again, we've already mentioned that co-financing is not mandatory. Daniela already mentioned that a couple of times. And also, we have mentioned that in-kind contributions are not eligible. So while we do appreciate your time and efforts, for the purposes of this budget, it is just not eligible cost. Now, let me mention here that revenue is very it's a bit of a tricky concept when it comes to this type of grant contract. So it's not very favorite, let me put it kindly. So we do not expect that you make revenues out of the actions that are funded by from this call. And then just as a final note, please make sure that you submit to us complete application. So all of the 4 main documents that we've already mentioned, like for 100th time, please make sure that they're all present at the same time and properly funded, submitted to us through the standard grant address. And this includes also communication and visibility plan that is very much integral and essential part of this action. And the reason why we are insisting on this at the very stage, because if you it is just a time saver. If we go back and forth with our questions and then your responses, it just adds up. You wouldn't believe how much time into not only decision making process but also in the grant cycle. So it's just the The sooner we get the final version of the application, the sooner our decision will be, and eventually at the end of the day, the earlier the contract will be signed and your implementation may start earlier. Well, thank you for this part. If you have any questions, please share them with us now. Okay, so we don't see any new questions. Daniela and I were considering for this part of the exercise to have sort of an exercise with your assistance. I mean, so we can see several options about all the things that Daniela was presenting earlier, and then just some of them, because we are somewhat limited with time right now. So let us try and to make this a bit more communication based between both sides. So we have several potential positions for the budget, and we would like to include you with your opinion. Where would you put this expenditure? So let us start with the first one, and I think it's a simple one. The further one will have somewhat more complicated. So let's say if there's a monthly salary for the project officer, and you know that it's a 3,000 euros per month gross amount, how would you, where would you budget it, as you can see, and how would you estimate the cost in the first version for the position that is full-time and it is 12-month in the 12-month project, and option B for a position that is half-time for a 12-month project. So where would you put this type of expenditure? Any thoughts? Sorry to interrupt here. I hope you have the budget form already in front of you, because our colleague Julia already sent it it in the chat room. Yeah, John. Yes, one salaries, and that would be what? How would we budget it for a position that is half time? That would be somewhat tricky, and believe me, this is very much often in the budget that you will see. What would you do for a half time position? Okay, that one was easy. Let us go with the next one, Daniela. Senior experts, let's say consultant in biology, 30 days, and you know that it is 600 gross euros per day. Where do we budget it? Can you switch to? Okay, let us read the. Where would you budget it? Under which budget category and heading? And what would be the unit here? If you have the budget in front of you, the budget template, this would be a nice time to open it. Okay, sub question. Does it go still under HR? Is it under human resources?
Is it HR costs? If it is senior expert consultant, it depends from what. If you remember, we said if it is a staff, then it goes under HR. If it is external expert, it goes in budget category 5. If it is engaged for study, it will go under that budget item, studies. If it is a trainer, it will go under conferences, the costs.
Okay, very similar question. This one is with a twist. So you need, you know that you have to do a feasibility study, and you know that you will probably need two experts. Where would you budget it? Under which budget and heading? And how are you going to do it? What can be a unit here? Again, so you know that it is a mixed feasibility. Yeah, Julia, could you please resend the budget document? Thank you. So it is a feasibility study. You know that you will need two experts. Where would you budget it? Under which budget category or heading? And what can be a unit there? How would you approach it?
Yes, you're right, Tito. It depends, is it internal or external? If it is internal, it goes under technical staff, and if it is external, as Oriana and you also shared, it would go under studies. And what would be the unit here? Yes, it can be per day, it can be per month, but also it can be per deliverable, it depending from the type or the size of the scope of work. It can be per study, it can be per day with a daily fee.
And to make it even more fun, you can consider it as engaging a company, a legal entity, and then it can still be, then must be as per deliverable. However, you're not already dealing with the individuals, but with a company as a legal entity. However, it will also, all this will depend on the nature of the action and on the nature of the particular action that you want to do in this case. So there's some food for thought for this on this one, and because you will have this type of decisions when you're preparing the budget.
To actually mention this in justification that you will engage a company. Yes, maybe the description of the cost would be feasibility study, two experts, and then in the justification you can note that you will engage a company for this. And let's go to the next question.
Okay, this one should be easy one. I think office rent 12 months. You know that the office is 1,000 euro per month. Where would you budget it? And then please estimate the costs, if something that Danielle already mentioned is RESEMBID funded project is one of two active projects you're implemented. So it's not a RESEMBID funded project is not your only active project. How would you address it in the budget?
I can see that not everyone can access the file in the chat zone. If it is easier for you, just go to the RESEMBID website. In grants, call proposals, and you have everything there. Here you will find the guidelines. Here you will find all necessary documents, and in the project document, you can find the budget. And the contract is here for your information.
Sorry.
Sorry, managing the few screens. Yeah, multitasking is very actually popular nowadays. Yes, Tito, it is depending on how many or not maybe how many hours per day you use the space. It can be that, of course, if you can monitor that. It can be, for example, if you have two projects with similar size, with similar number of employees, most of the costs are produced by staff. Yes, electricity, the office space, the furniture, and so on. So, for example, you can use that kind of methodology per staff member. But the easiest is if it is, of course, similar size projects by the budget, by the number of staff working on it, just 50% to be allocated to RESEMBID funded project.
So just one final point here. Whatever you have decided, just let us know in the justification how you came up to that calculation. This is important for us, so we can, when we see the budget and we understand what was your rationale behind it. Okay, the next one. Let's say purchase of you need a purchase of 20 laptops, and you know that it's like 1,200 per laptop, 1,200 euros. Where would you budget this cost? And very important questions. What is important for the budgets for justification in this case? Okay, so that's a good start. Furniture, computer equipment, but Daniela.
And what is important here, if you remember, we were mentioning that this must be justified. For example, we have few projects where like 50 computers needs to be bought. 50 is not a small number. Yeah, yes, that is the right answer. Why are so many laptops needed? Can they perhaps be rented instead of purchased? Yes, that is a relevant question. You need, as we said, it is good to check in advance what is the price at the market, but also maybe it is if you don't need the computer for the full implementation of the project. For example, you need just for this workshop. For example, maybe it is better to rent a meeting room with computer equipment there. In case you need the computers that are essentials for the implementation of the project, then you would buy, check the price, check the type of the computer you need, depending on the project activity. Check all of this before just estimating and justifying. Okay, yeah. If Tito, if it is necessary because they're used every day, that will be in the justification and just estimate the cost in the project. The document elaborate why you need the computers.
Sorry, Daniel, if I may. So very much whatever we've just discussed in the last 2 minutes. In addition to this, from when you come to the actual procurement part, proportionality of the purchase is one of the pillars of a good procurement system. So if you say you have 5 people who are your full time, just make sure that you purchase five computers if you need them for later on. So let the purchase be in proportion of your needs. So we can call it a good procurement practices.
And there was a question that we didn't respond. Do I have to split for every project, for example, for renting or office equipment and so on? Not in our budget. In our budget, what we need to know is how, what portion it will be allocated to our project. We are not interested in allocation for the other project. When reporting will come, you will must prove that it was 50% of that and that amount. For example, as I said, if it is 2,000 monthly rent, and if you have two projects, your invoice for the rent or the lease agreement would be 2,000. Yes, you need to have proof of payment, and you will divide that amount by 2 or multiply with 50%. So you don't have to split in our budget. You should mention in the justification that portion will be allocated to our project. We already have such case. For example, we have a case for utilities that just 2% would be budget allocated to our project, as it is part of a bigger annual program of activities of that applicant. So it is 11:30, and we have 2 more modules to go. If okay, let me see. We received also other questions. Okay, I have a message. Julia, actually, yes, please share this information with the participants.
Yes, so for those who won't be participating to other sessions today, I'm going to send you the link to an evaluation form for the workshop. So those who are staying to other modules won't have to take it now, but it's only for those who are participating to this module that will have to fill the evaluation form at this moment. The other one will be requested to do it later. So I sent the link in the chat. You should see it now.
Thank you, Julia. I can see that the question is repeated. When you have more projects, please estimate and allocate the cost only related to our project in the budget. And we have yes, Humphrey, please. Humphrey, please ask the question.
Hello, is clear? Can you hear me?
Very well.
No, okay, yes, no, I just was trying to put a question, but the question was already asked. Yes, there's no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you don't have any other question, thank you for your attention. Everything that was shared today, maybe not the practical exercises and presentations, but all information is already included in the call for submission of proposals, but also other relevant documents regarding the facility. Please check if something is not clear or you cannot find the information there. Feel free to contact us on Grant's email address or your program manager in charge, and we will try to advise, share information, assist you as much as best possible. Oh, okay, we have, I think, very short break, and then we are continuing with communication and visibility module with Nisa and Indy. Goodbye, and thank you for your attention, questions, and shared experiences also now and before this session.